You hear about the gold, the paintings, 8,000 bars of Nazi plunder stacked in salt mines 1,600 feet underground, Vermeer, Rembrandt, the Madonna of Bruges, but nobody talks about the paper trail, the files, the microfilm. The regime's bureaucratic memory stored on celluloid, buried in toilets, sealed in concrete vaults, scattered across a collapsing empire in spring 1945. What happened to those reels? Where did they end up? And who got to decide what the world would see? April 4th, 1945. Third Army, 90th Infantry Division, a place called Merkers in Thuringia, 200 miles southwest of Berlin. They take the town before noon. The next day, displaced persons mention something about gold. Counterintelligence Corps follows the lead, April 6th. They confirm it. The Kaiserode salt mine, 30 miles of galleries, guards on 4 entrances. They blast through a steel vault door on April 8th. Inside, 80 million Reichsmarks, 250 tons of gold, 55 boxes of bullion, hundreds of sacks ripped from death camp victims, wedding rings, dental fillings, personal effects. General Eisenhower himself goes down on April 12th, sees the flattened silverware, the hammered art, but also crates, files, documents, records from the Berlin State Museums, the bust of Nefertiti wrapped in sheepskin coats meant for troops freezing on the Eastern Front, paper and film stacked next to treasure, same month, different mine, Altusee in Austria, salt tunnels worked since 1147, August 1943, the Nazis move in, art for Hitler's planned Führer Museum in Linz, 6,577 paintings by war's end, 137 sculptures, 484 crates of objects, the Ghent altarpiece, works by Vermeer, Dürer, Rembrandt, the Rothschild jewels, Michelangelo's Madonna, but Gauleiter August Eingruber wants it destroyed. Hitler issues the Nero Decree in March 1945. Everything burns if Germany falls. 8 500-kilogram bombs go into the tunnels. Crates labeled, "Caution marble do not drop." Local miners get suspicious. Night of May 3rd into 4th, they remove the explosives, blow the main entrance to fake compliance. May 8th, Americans arrive. No art destroyed, but documents too. Administrative records, inventories, lists. The regime kept receipts for everything. If you value documented 20th century history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the National Archives Record Group, 242 on Foreign Records Seized, published in August 2024, and Robert Wolf's 1974 conference volume, Captured German and Related Records, from Ohio University Press, which synthesizes decades of archival microfilm projects across Alexandria, Berlin, and Wooden Hall. Now back to the information, but Merkers and Altusee are just chapters, and the real story starts earlier. Mid-1943, the Reich Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop orders copies of essential documents, correspondence between Hitler and Mussolini, notes from meetings with foreign diplomats. An aide to the Nazi microfilm supervisor secretly buries boxes of film against orders. February 3rd, 1945, a U-Hutter S 8th Air Force drops 2,300 tons of bombs on Berlin. The Reichsbank takes direct hits. Currency presses destroyed. Bank President Walter Funk relocates gold reserves. Documents scatter. Foreign Ministry archives already moving since 1943 to rural areas. Current files stay in Berlin. The rest goes to the Harz Mountains, Thuringia, Marburg Castle, salt mines, castles, anywhere with thick walls and controlled climate. March 1945. Bonn University. A Polish laboratory technician finds a crumpled document floating in a toilet. Someone tried to flush it. The Ozenberg list, 15,000 names. German scientists and engineers pulled from combat in 1942 to develop weapons. Werner Ozenberg compiled it. By March 45, German officials panic as Allied troops close in. They tear up the list, try to destroy it, but this Polish tech pulls it from the water. The list reaches MI6, then American intelligence. Major Robert Staver, chief of the Jet Propulsion Section, uses it to identify targets for capture. Operation Overcast begins July 19th, 1945, later renamed Operation Paperclip in November. The mission: grab 100 Nazi scientists before the Soviets do. Extract their knowledge. Within weeks, 1,600 German scientists and families relocate to the United States through 1962. Among them, Werner von Braun, SS officer, V-2 rocket designer, stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, then Huntsville, Alabama, transferred to NASA in 1960. Becomes advocate for the moon landing. Kurt DeBoos, another SS member, first director of Kennedy Space Center. But scientists are just cargo. Documents are the map. April 1945. First Lieutenant David Silberberg with American troops near Degennershausen Estate in the Harz Mountains. Abandoned German vehicles litter the roads. Some contain archives. Silberberg finds documents signed by Ribbentrop. Returns to investigate further. During this time, Karl von Loesch, assistant to Hitler's personal translator Paul Otto Schmidt, is retreating from Treffert near Eisenach. Schmidt told him to destroy all top-secret papers from the archives. Von Loesch destroys most, but keeps some, buries them near Marburg. By chance, he meets Lieutenant Colonel R.C. Thompson, chief of the British documents team. Von Loesch offers to lead them to the burial site in exchange for immunity. 400 tons of material gets exhumed, transported to Marburg Castle. Inspectors find at least 60 documents with correspondence between the Duke of Windsor and Nazi High Command. Operation Willy, a 1940 plot to convince the Duke to side with Germany, fake an assassination threat from King George VI and Winston Churchill, stage a kidnapping, blackmail Britain into surrender, promise to reinstall him as king, recognize Wallis Simpson as queen in exchange for Nazi movement across Europe. Prime Minister Churchill and King George VI see the files, demand suppression, never released to public. The entire collection moves to Whaddon Hall in Buckinghamshire in 1948. Whaddon Hall becomes the nerve center. Spring 1945, specially created Anglo-American expert teams search Germany for political and economic archives. They want origins of the war, Germany's operations, war aims. They assemble several tons of German Foreign Ministry documents from the Harz and Thuringia, add documents from other deposits at Marburg Castle. Original records cover 1867 to 1945. Few post-1940 records survive. Most contemporary files destroyed or captured by Soviets. In 1946, the British and American governments established the German War Documents Project. French joined later. Goal: select, translate, prepare, edit for publication the most important documents on German foreign policy from 1918 to 1945. Evidence of the Third Reich's role in starting World War II, but 1948 brings crisis, Soviet blockade of Berlin, Allied airlift of supplies. Western allies fear Soviets might seize the records. British officials want them moved to West Germany. General Lucius Clay, UNS, military governor, refuses. Nowhere on the continent is safe from Soviet seizure. Documents and project staff move to Whaddon Hall, British country house. Secure. Isolated. The microfilm operation begins in earnest. Until 1952, only official British, UIS and MOAX, and French government representatives access the records. After 52, universities and scholars sponsor microfilm programs, mostly pre-1920 material. American Historical Association coordinates projects. Records filmed at Whaddon become microfilm publication T120 at the National Archives. 5,485 rolls. Covers German Foreign Office 1867 to 1945 and Reichs Chancellery 1919 to 1945. Additional projects create T136, T137, T138, T139, T140, T141, T149, T246, T264, T1026, T1141, T249, T290, T291. Papers of German diplomats, 1833 to 1931. Embassy records, consulate files. Every series assigned finding aids. Catalogs published. Oxford, 1959. Hoover Institution, Stanford, 1962 to 72. 4 volumes, thousands of pages, cross-referenced, indexed. Parallel operation in Berlin, the Berlin Document Center, created after war's end to centralize Nazi-era documents needed for Nuremberg trials. Under American administration until 1994, the so-called biographic records, personnel files of the NSDAP and affiliated organizations from party founding in 1920 until 1945, arranged by organization, then alphabetically by family name, sometimes phonetically. In late summer 1961, the American Historical Association microfilm project at Alexandria, Virginia, winds down. World War II Record Center at the old torpedo factory. State Department transfers approximately 1,000 microfilm rolls of non-biographic records from Berlin Document Center to National Archives. Microfilm publication T580, 1,002 rolls. Finding aid on roll 999. Additional series T581 for Hoover Institution, T611 for University of Nebraska, 49 rolls. T355. 9 rolls for name index of Jews whose German nationality the regime annulled. T457, 14 rolls for documents concerning Jews in the Berlin Document Center. 1968, most captured German records microfilmed before shipment to Federal Republic of Germany. Deposit chiefly in Bundesarchiv. Alexandria World War II records branch dissolved. Torpedo plant vacated. Remaining captured records, paper and microfilm, sent to main archives building in downtown Washington. Non-German captured records, largely North Korean, sent to Washington National Records Center in Suitland, Maryland. Robert Wolfe joins the National Archives staff in 1961. Temporary basis to review Berlin Document Center microfilm. Hired permanently 62 as subject matter expert on captured German records. For over 30 years, he's the go-to archivist. Helps Israeli prosecutors in Adolf Eichmann's trial. Early 1960s. Assists U.S. Office of Special Investigations, Canadian, Australian, British authorities prosecute former Nazis and collaborators. Testifies October 5th. 1992, as expert archival witness in Nazi crimes case at County Court of Duisburg, Germany. Defense counsel objects that documents have been out of German control for 25 years, 1945 to 70. Wolfe produces contemporaneous documentation. Where and when of capture. Itinerary to United States, where microfilmed. Receipts signed by German archivists at Bremerhaven certifying return. Chain of custody established. Evidence admissible. But the biographic records don't get microfilmed en masse until the 90s. 1993, agreement reached to transfer Berlin Document Center to Germany by July 1st, 1994. Article requires all captured German records be microfilmed. One complete set provided to U.S. National Archives accession to the collection in 94. Approximately 39,000 microfilm rolls. Personnel records for SS officers, Waffen-SS, SS enlisted men and women. Membership registries and correspondence of Nazi Party, documentation on Nazi-affiliated organizations, records on naturalization of ethnic Germans during war. Microfilm publication A3340 through A3345, multiple series, NSDAP Orts Gruppenkartei, 2,275 rolls, Zentralkartei, 3,167 rolls. Party Census, July 1939, 121 rolls. Partei Korrespondenz, 6,182 rolls. Reichskulturkammer, 2,466 rolls. SA personnel files, 716 rolls. SS officer files, 909 rolls. SS enlisted men, 1,738 rolls. Einwandererzentrale, 7,320 rolls. Rasse- und Siedlungshauptamt, 7,811 rolls. The regime documented everything, every member, every applicant, every ethnic screening. 2.9 million people processed by the EWZ Immigration Control Center between 1939 and 45. An estimated 70 to 80,000 files destroyed before capture. The rest intact. Alexandria operation runs parallel. Records of German central, regional, local government agencies, military headquarters, commands, units, Nazi Party formations, affiliated associations, papers of private businesses, institutions, persons. Period, chiefly 1920 to 45. 98 guides published National Archives, 1958 to 93. Guides to German records, microfilmed at Alexandria, Virginia. Out of print, but available on microfilm publication. T733. 9 rolls, includes T75. 89 rolls for Reich Deputy for Serbian Economy. T76, 7 rolls for TOT Organization. T84, 491 rolls for miscellaneous German records, 1892 to 45. T177, 52 rolls for Reich Air Ministry. T178, 28 rolls for fragmentary Reich ministries, 1893 to 45. T179, 78 rolls for former German and Japanese embassies and consulates, 1890 to 45. Military records massive, T77, 1,687 rolls for Wehrmacht High Command. T78, 993 rolls for Army High Command. T79 for Army areas. T312 for Army groups. T313, 14 for field armies. T315 for panzer armies. Thousands upon thousands of rolls. Operations reports, intelligence assessments, daily logs, personnel rosters, every division, every regiment, every battalion documented. London operation handles naval records, German Navy files, microfilmed at Admiralty, University of Cambridge, University of Michigan projects, German Naval Archives, selected files. Project 1, published London 1959. Project 2, 64. Australia list, 59. University of Hawaii list, 59. Records of German Navy, 1850 to 1945, received from U.S. Naval History Division, microfilm publication T1022, 4,317 rolls, U-boat logs, T-boat logs, Imperial Navy, Third Reich Navy, 2 guides compiled, Harry Riley for Imperial Navy, Timothy Mulligan for Third Reich. U-boat logs become most requested records. Researchers, authors, filmmakers, families searching, every patrol, every attack, every sinking, every loss, documented. 1949. Department of Army recognizes need to return documents to West Germany. Federal Republic and United States need to accomplish NATO objectives. Restore diplomatic relationship. Transfer records to original owners, but intelligence value remains. Return process planned in 3 phases. First, declassify. Second, microfilm records of interest for continued intelligence or historical research. Third, ship originals back to West Germany. Army identifies documents for microfilming in late 1940s but lacks resources. Personnel cutbacks after war. By early 50s, prominent voices in historical community worry records will return without copies maintained for research. Department of Army partners with American Historical Association. Project begins. Microfilmed copies transferred to National Archives. Bulk from State Department and Army arrives 1957 to 1960. Archives continues receiving captured records well into 60s. Some records present complications. Documents Nazis seized in Eastern Germany and brought west, captured by Allied troops, post-war EU. Eastern Germany becomes Western Poland. German people migrate to West Germany. Allies decide Eastern German archives return to West Germany where displaced population now lives. U.S. begins returning records to Germany as early as 1945. Documents Germans hid for safekeeping given back to local archives immediately. Documents on Third Reich or usable for denazification and demilitarization maintained longer. Most interesting returns, records shipped to London and Washington for intelligence processing. Perhaps most significant set never fully returned. Records remain classified. Sensitive material on war crimes, collaboration networks, intelligence operations, financial looting. Declassification happens gradually, decades. Some files opened in 50s, others 60s, 70s, 80s. Nazi war criminal records. Interagency working group formed 2001. Reviews millions of pages newly declassified. Final report published 2004. U.S. Intelligence and the Nazis. Co-authored by Robert Wolf. Reveals scope of recruitment. Former SS officers employed by American intelligence. Former Gestapo members. Reinhard Gehlen, Wehrmacht intelligence officer on Eastern Front, offers United States his Nazi intelligence archives and personal information on Soviet Union. Exchange for freedom. His family's freedom. Colleagues to freedom. United States accepts. Gehlen and family relocate under Operation Paperclip. Establishes Gehlen Organization in collaboration with U.S. Intelligence. Becomes head of Federal Intelligence Service of West Germany when B&D established 1956. Employs numerous former Nazi officers. Public attention drawn only in 2005, when National Security Archive releases CIA's secret documentary history. Forging an intelligence partnership, CIA and the origins of the B&D 1945 to 49. CIA documents reveal Gehlen's network faced significant setbacks. B&D became double-edged sword, boosted Warsaw Pact propaganda, suffered devastating KGB penetrations. If you value documented evidence and primary source history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the National Archives, microfilm publications. Catalog updated August 26, 2024. And Greg Bradsher's Spring 1999 prologue article, Nazi Gold, the Merker's Mine Treasure, published by National Archives, which documents the discovery and processing using primary military records from record groups 407, 331, and 260. Now back to the information. Sound recordings get separate treatment, captured Nazi phonograph records, Hitler speeches, Goebbels broadcasts, party rallies, monitored transmissions. Nazism had close relationship with spoken word. Hitler and Goebbels, excellent orators, pushed party into prominence through mass rallies. Political speeches provided oral punch for Nazi drive to power. They exploited radio and phonograph recordings. Radio created electronic mass rally effect. Phonograph preserved speeches for posterity, recordings for schools, for party meetings, for indoctrination. The regime also had passion for preservation. Nazi Party formed Hauptarchiv in 1934. Many top leaders maintained personal organizational collections. Heinrich Himmler's Personlicher Stab preserved enormous amounts. Special projects undertaken. Martin Bormann's program to preserve Hitler's table talk. Unobtrusive stenographer used instead of cumbersome recording equipment. As World War II entered last phase, rapid Allied advance turned Nazi recordings into genuine dustbin history. Havoc, disorganization, collapse of German civil government, scattered collections, destroyed materials, defeated country overrun by conquering armies. Little time to preserve anything as fragile as phonograph records. Allied military authorities had different ideas about what to do with recordings found. Some left them, some seized as captured documents, others destroyed, pure chance-determined selection process. Certain recordings moved through chain of command to become part of U.S. government collection. National Archives holds these recordings. Special Media Archives, Services Division. Research possible, but access restricted. Preservation concerns. Formats deteriorating. Motion pictures receive similar attention. U.S. Army Signal Corps cameramen shot thousands of feet documenting liberation of Nazi concentration camps. European Union's Horizon. 2020 project used many reels for visual history of the Holocaust. Project aimed to provide access and analysis tools. Began 2019, completed 2022. National Archives provided 228 reels, little more than half of 438 used. Collated from many series, newsreels, raw footage. Among newly digitized footage, film titled Death Mills, compilation of conditions found in camps in Germany and Belgium by advancing Allied forces, dead prisoners, surviving prisoners, facilities used to kill and torture, Army Lieutenant Colonel George Stevens, Navy Lieutenant E. Ray Kellogg, UNS, Chief of Counsel Robert Jackson read affidavits attesting to authenticity. Leipzig concentration camp, piles of dead bodies, living Russian, Czechoslovakian, Polish, French prisoners, doctors treat patients, U.S. Red Cross workers move them to German Air Force Hospital where former captors forced to care for them. Ohrdruf concentration camp, inspection team of Allied military leaders, U.S., Congress members, local townspeople tours, Generals Dwight Eisenhower, Omar Bradley, George Patton present. Eisenhower speaks with congressmen, bodies heaped on crematorium grill, Polish, Czechoslovakian, Russian, Belgian, German Jews, German political prisoners visible, Colonel Hayden Sears, Combat Command A, 4th Armored Division commander, forces local townspeople to tour camp. Confront atrocities. Eisenhower invited media to record scenes, required German civilians from nearby towns to visit, see conditions themselves. April 29th, 1945, U.S. Forces liberate Dachau, about 30,000 starving prisoners, soldiers of U.S. 7th Army document conditions. National Archives. Repository for this footage, Record Group 111, motion picture films used as exhibits and evidence at World War II war crimes trials, compiled 1945 to 47. National Archives identifier 43,452. War crimes, records themselves form a separate microfilm series. Records of International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg. Record Group 238, records of UMSO, military tribunals at Nuremberg, records of US, Army war crimes trials in Europe, records of Army courts, thousands of rolls, proceedings, prosecution documents, defense documents, administrative records. Robert Wolfe developed standard filming sequence in 1968. Nuremberg trial records accessioned for first time. 12 subsequent Nuremberg trials conducted by U.S. on military government. Pamphlets created. Special lists. U.S. versus Erhard Milch. Only trial of single defendant. Pilot project. U.S. versus Ohlendorf et al. Einsatzgruppen murder commandos case. Most researched. During 5 years as Assistant Branch Chief for Projects and Military Field Branch at Suitland, John Mendelsohn spreads Nuremberg pamphlet pattern to Dachau trials, mainly SS concentration camp personnel, also includes Malmedy Massacre trial, American troops killed, Russelsheim lynching trial, downed American air crews, Hadamar euthanasia asylum trial. In late 45 and early 46, Wolfe assigned as official Army witness to hangings at Bruxelles prison, those condemned in latter two cases, evidence preserved, microfilmed, indexed, available. Nazi war criminal records. Interagency working groups work reveals extent. Over 70,000 rolls of microfilm reproducing captured German and related records held at National Archives College, Park, Maryland. Record Group 242. National Archives collection of foreign records seized. Established 1947 for records captured from Germany, Italy, Japan. included not only Nazi regime records, but predecessor German governments and other nations. Materials, microfilm publications listed by filming location. Nearly all original paper records returned to countries of origin. Small number from private origins. Seizure doesn't divest original owners of literary property rights. Reference copies, viewed free at Microfilm Reading Room. Self-service copies, 60 cents each. Specific rolls or entire series purchased at $125 domestic, $135 international per roll. Detailed reference information available from modern military records. Over 70,000 rolls. Captured German records, foreign records. Related materials, Japanese records, Italian records, Hungarian records, Russian records, Smolensk Oblast, Communist Party files captured by Germans, then by Americans. Every microfilm publication assigned numbers: T-series, A-series, M-series, finding aids, guides, roll lists, sample documents, card indices, catalogs, cross-references. Erelson Archives in Germany maintains parallel collection. Established in 1948 as International Tracing Service, document Nazi crimes, provide relatives of victims with certainty, reunite families. Help survivors establish compensation eligibility. Created world's largest archive on victims and survivors of Nazi persecution. Listed on UNESCO Memory of the World Register. Over 40 million documents, 17.5 million people. Records relate to concentration camp prisoners, forced laborers, displaced persons after 45. Hundreds of thousands of volunteers, digitized names and details. Global initiative, modern culture of remembrance. Inspire young people to value respect, diversity, democracy. Tens of thousands of inquiries submitted yearly from all over the world. Online archive provides globally accessible research, digital projects, educational resources, but microfilm alone can't capture everything. Physical artifacts matter. Discovery continues. August 2021. Hagen, Germany. History teacher Sebastian Yurtseven, cleaning aunt's house after severe flooding. Pulls out rotten plasterboard, spots foot-wide space behind wall. Newspaper dated 1945. Behind it, cache of World War II artifacts. Portrait of Adolf Hitler. Revolver. Gas masks. Nazi party badges. Brass knuckles. Letters. Documents. Building housed local National Socialist People's Welfare Organization headquarters during Nazi era. Also found 1905 love letter sent to 17-year-old Hedwig Weide. Archivists find more information in city records. She married 1913, had 2 children, unable to track suitor. City archive recovered 12 boxes of materials, spent 1.5 weeks viewing and sorting. Amount overwhelming. May 12, 2025, Buenos Aires. Judicial officials relocating court archives to new museum. Encounter boxes of German government records by accident. Argentina Supreme Court basement. Nazi documents seized during World War II. Stacks of papers intended to consolidate and propagate Adolf Hitler's ideology in Argentina. Supreme Court President Horacio Rosati orders survey and inventory. 83 packages sent from Germany Embassy in Tokyo. Arrived Argentina, 1941, aboard Japanese steamer Nana Maru. German diplomatic mission claimed boxes contained personal effects. Argentine customs officials warned foreign minister allowing packages without inspection could threaten neutrality. Randomly opened 5 containers, found Nazi propaganda, postcards, photographs, notebooks decorated with swastikas. Federal judge ordered cargo seized, referred to Supreme Court. Boxes went unopened for decades. Why? Nobody knows. May 9th, ceremony opens boxes. Eliyahu Hamra, chief rabbi of Argentine Israelite Mutual Association, attends. Jonathan Carson-Baum, executive director of Holocaust Museum of Buenos Aires, present. I was shocked because of the volume. Carson-Baum tells New York Times. Historians hope documents shed light on Nazis. International Financing Network. After-war Samistei. Thousands of Nazi officers and sympathizers escaped to Argentina. Adolf Eichmann, Joseph Mengele. 2000 Arger, President Fernando de la Rua formally apologized for a refuge. Argentina provided Nazi war criminals. Today, Argentina home to around 200,000 Jews. Largest Jewish population in Latin America. June 2020. Nazi diary surfaces. Possession of Masonic Lodge in Quedlinburg, Germany for decades. Kept secret. Lodge existed as secret society over 1,000 years. Counted elite Nazi officers among members during Third Reich. One member allegedly Michaelis, pseudonym, Waffen, SS officer, controlled Nazi transport in southwestern Poland, wrote diary 75 years ago, outlined Heinrich Himmler's plans to hide stolen European riches. Artifacts, priceless art. Listed 11 sites where Nazis concealed looted gold, jewels, paintings, religious objects. Lodge members in later years included descendants of Nazi officers. 19. Lodge gives diary to Polish Foundation Silesian Bridge. Foundation announces March previous year received journal from German partners in Quedlinburg, gifted to people of Poland as apology for World War II. Included with journal, map purportedly pinpointing location of well on Hochberg Palace grounds where Nazi treasure hidden. Palace stands in Lower Silesia. Poland. Region gained notoriety during and after war as location, where Nazis concealed goods stolen from wealthy Jews, art looted from museums and galleries. Lower Silesia riddled with caves, mines, tunnels, castles, palaces with cavernous dungeons. Offered Nazis hiding places for large works. Afterwar, unit. S. Art Looting Intelligence Unit linked to Silesian Museum Director Gunther Grundmann to stolen art. Grundmann created list of 80 sites in Lower Silesia where he concealed precious objects and wealth. One site, Hochberg Palace. Many caches thought looted by invading Russian army as they advanced. Nazis plundered estimated 5 million European artworks from Jews, museums, private collections. Team of 350 Allied officers and experts known as Monuments Men. Investigative Unit of Art, Looting Intelligence Unit. Tasked with tracking them after war's end. One site alone, Altusee salt mine complex in Austria, housed thousands of stolen paintings, illustrations, rare books, statues, tapestries. Cache of explosives in complex meant to detonate in event of Germany's defeat. Explosives never detonated. About 63,000 artworks and cultural artifacts stolen from Polish Jews by Nazis still missing. Polish government actively working to secure return. Officials in Poland criticized for failing to return paintings in National Museum collections stolen by Nazis. The microfilm survives. The paper returns. The gold gets counted. The art restores. But questions remain. What's still hidden? What's still classified? What burned before capture? What the Soviets took and never shared? Berlin fell May 2nd, 1945. Soviet troops entered first, 3 days of looting before Western allies arrived. Archives ransacked, selective removal, documents shipped to Moscow. Some returned in 50s during détente, others never seen again. Russian State Military Archive holds materials, access restricted. Researchers require special permission, years of waiting, some files simply missing. Card catalogs reference documents that don't exist. Removed, destroyed. Lost, East German State Security Service, the Stasi, maintained separate archive of Nazi documents, used for blackmail, leverage against West German officials, former Nazis in positions of power. Stasi threatened exposure unless cooperation. After German reunification, 1990 Aus. Stasi archives opened. GOC authority established. Public access to files. More Nazi documents surface. Personnel records. Denunciation files. Resistance networks. Collaboration rings. Every file indexed. Digitized. Made available. The process continues. Declassification reviews. Freedom of information requests. Academic pressure. Public interest. Agencies release more. CIA, State Department, Army, Navy. Every decade brings new revelations. 2007, National Archives releases CIA files on Nazi war criminals, connections between U.S. intelligence and former SS officers. Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, worked for U.S. intelligence postwar, helped establish rat lines, escape routes for Nazis to South America. Otto von Bolschwing, SS officer. Eichmann's mentor, worked for CIA, entered U.S. under false identity. Lived in California until exposed. Alois Brunner, Eichmann's assistant, responsible for deportation of 128,000 Jews. Worked for Syrian intelligence, protected until death. Files document knowledge, deliberate concealment. Calculated decisions to prioritize intelligence value over justice. 2019, last major transfer. Berlin Document Center biographic records fully digitized. High-resolution scans, optical character recognition, searchable databases, names, dates, locations, cross-referenced with other archives. Yad Vashem, United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Wiener Library, Bundesarchiv, Arlsen Archives, international collaboration, shared access, research transformed. What took months in microfilm reading rooms now takes hours online. Genealogists trace family members, historians verify claims, prosecutors build cases. Even now, trials continue. Former camp guards identified through personnel files, extradited, prosecuted, Germany has no statute of limitations on murder. Age, no excuse. Justice delayed, not justice denied. But the story doesn't end with trials. The microfilm caches revealed infrastructure, the regime's administrative apparatus, how totalitarianism functions, documentation obsession, every member tracked, every applicant screened, every ethnic German processed, every Jew's nationality annulled by decree, every piece of looted art inventoried, every bank account seized, catalogued, every property confiscation recorded, every forced labor registered, every concentration camp prisoner numbered, every execution documented. The bureaucracy of genocide. The files prove intent, prove knowledge, prove participation, no hiding behind following orders. The paper trail leads to offices, to names, to signatures, to decisions. The microfilm also revealed resistance. Hidden among regime documents, evidence of those who refused, documents forged to save Jews, files falsified to protect targeted individuals, reports buried to prevent deportations, communications intercepted to warn resistance groups. Within the bureaucracy, small acts of defiance. Clerks who delayed paperwork, officials who lost files, secretaries who warned friends. The microfilm captured that too, scattered through millions of frames, traces of humanity and machine designed to eliminate it. Researchers still find surprises. 2023. National Archives researcher discovers misfiled documents in T-120 microfilm. German Foreign Ministry correspondence with Vatican during war. Negotiations over concordant protections. Diplomatic pressure regarding papal statements on racial laws, evidence of what Vatican knew and went on us. Wow. Documents not included in published volumes, not indexed in Finding Aids, but there, frame 4217, roll 893. One researcher's careful work, one discovery. How many more waiting? The operation to microfilm the Nazi regime's paper trail took decades, thousands of people, millions of dollars, multiple countries, hundreds of institutions. Tens of thousands of rolls, over 70,000 rolls at National Archives alone, unknown thousands more at Bundesarchiv. British National Archives, Archives Nationales in France, other repositories worldwide. The total approaches 100,000 rolls, perhaps more. Each roll contains hundreds of pages, thousands of frames, millions of documents total, tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions. Complete count impossible. New discoveries still happening. The microfilm preserves what paper cannot. Paper ages, deteriorates, burns, floods, wars destroy, microfilm duplicates, distributes, preserves, multiple copies in multiple locations, ensures survival. But microfilm itself ages, silver gelatin emulsion breaks down, vinegar syndrome, base deteriorates, image fades, 60 to 80 years, typical lifespan. The oldest microfilm from 45, now approaching 80 years, some rolls already unusable. Digitization race against time. National Archives prioritizes most used microfilm for digital conversion. Researchers request specific roles. High demand triggers digitization, low demand rolls wait, funding limits pace, technology improves, higher resolution, better compression, faster processing, but backlog remains. 70,000 rolls. At current rate, decades until completion. Some rolls may not survive long enough. The regime wanted its documents preserved for history. 1,000-year Reich needed records. Proof of achievements, documentation of victories, evidence of superiority. Instead, the microfilm preserves proof of crimes, documentation of atrocities, evidence of guilt. The regime's own bureaucratic obsession became its own indictment. Every order typed, every directive filed, every report submitted, every death recorded. The documents they created to glorify became tools to prosecute. The microfilm they never wanted made ensures memory survives. The caches they tried to hide or destroy now accessible to world. The truth they attempted to bury now digitized and searchable. May 1945. Quedlinburg, Germany. The diary, the map, the locations, 75 years hidden, then surfaced. Apology for World War II. The Polish Foundation receives it. The microfilm projects wind down decades earlier, but physical documents still emerging, still hidden in walls, still buried near palaces, still sealed in basement crates. Every discovery adds frames to historical record. Every revelation fills gaps. Every document found answers, questions, raises new ones. Discovery never ends. The microfilm operation captured a specific moment. Spring 45 through mid-60s, records accessible then, but regime existed 12 years, 1933 to 45. Millions of documents created, millions destroyed, millions lost, millions still unfound. The microfilm represents fraction, significant fraction, essential fraction, but fraction nonetheless. Complete record impossible, but sufficient record exists, sufficient to prove, sufficient to prosecute, sufficient to educate, sufficient to remember. The caches after World War II became collections. The collections became archives. The archives became microfilm. The microfilm became digital files. The digital files became searchable databases. The searchable databases became evidence. The evidence became justice. The justice became memory. The memory becomes prevention, or should. One final site. Alexandria, Virginia, former torpedo factory, World War II records branch, where American Historical Association project microfilmed thousands of rolls. 1950s into 60s. Building still stands. Now luxury apartments, the Torpedo Factory Art Center, studios, galleries, restaurants. No plaques mention what happened there. No markers explain the work. The rooms where archivists cataloged Nazi documents now house paintings and pottery. The floor where microfilm cameras clicked now displays sculpture. History erased by renovation, memory replaced by commerce. But the microfilm survives. The work continues. The documents remain accessible. The records preserved. Merker's mine still exists. Decommissioned from mining, 1993. Now Adventure Mine. Underground concert hall. Laser light shows. Crystal Cave. The Gold Room. Exact spot where Americans blasted Nazi treasure chamber April 1945. Hand-operated mining carts on rails. Props of precious cargo. 1945, sketch of floor plan on display. Stacks of mock gold bars. Burlap bags marked Deutsche Reichsbank. Fake Reichsmark notes as souvenirs. Real wartime Jeep. Larger-than-life photos of U.S. military personnel cataloging loot. 1,600 feet underground. 82 degrees. 2,900 miles of tunnels. Area bigger than Leipzig. No microfilm mentioned. No paper trail displayed. Gold, art, treasure. That's what visitors want. The documents? Forgotten? The microfilm? Ignored? The bureaucratic record that made the plunder possible? Invisible. But at College Park, Maryland. National Archives at 8601 Adelphi Road. Microfilm Reading Room 4050. The rolls wait. 70,000 of them. Request form. Researcher card. Identification. Load the reel. Thread the film. Advance the frames. There. Document, frame, evidence. One researcher. One afternoon. One discovery. Connecting past to present. Giving voice to silenced. Providing answers to descendants. Enabling justice for victims. That's what happened to the regime's microfilm caches after World War II. They became windows into humanity's darkest chapter, and reminders that documentation survives, that truth persists, that memory demands preservation, that justice, however delayed, remains possible when records exist to prove what happened and who was responsible.